My name is Evelyn Shore. I'm 68, and I bought this beach house with the money I earned weaving fabric for 42 years. I'm saying my name out loud because I need to hear it over the sound of 3 black SUVs idling in my driveway, their headlights washing the cedar siding like searchlights. The rain here in Manzanita comes in sideways. It slicks my porch rail and stings my knuckles as I reach for the door. Sloan, my daughter-in-law, steps in without waiting to be invited. She smells like cold perfume and road coffee. "We'll take the master," she says, her voice bright as a sales jingle. Behind her, her father Victor lifts a clipboard like he's checking me into a motel. The rest of them spread out, loud and sure, dropping bags and wet umbrellas across the entry rug I carried in myself last week. I tell her the master is mine. She tilts her head, the way you do when talking to someone whose hearing might be selective. "Lucas and I have more people," she says. "There's a cute inn in town. You'll be comfortable there." There's salt on my tongue that isn't from the sea. I watch the rain bead on their jackets and think of the wire transfer that cleared 3 days ago, the deed that has only my name. The years my hands ached, threading looms after midnight. "No," I say, quiet as surf under fog. "I'll be staying here." The house shivers when another door slams. So do I, but I keep my hand on the rail. I worked for this key. I'm not giving it away. The morning opens to a steel gray sky that makes the Pacific look like it's holding its breath. I brew coffee, the smell grounding me while the front door keeps snapping open and shut. Sloan directing traffic like she owns the tide. She talks to her phone about content lighting, scattering cinnamon over foam as though sugar could disguise intrusion. Her father, Victor, spreads his clipboard across my kitchen island and starts drawing a grid for sleeping arrangements. I slide the clipboard back with one finger. "No," he chuckles. "We'll rotate. Evelyn, we're family. Flexibility is everything." "Flexibility isn't a title on a deed," I say. The ocean presses against the windows, steady and deliberate. My phone buzzes. A bank alert, a $389 charge from the market in Tillamook, tagged household staples. Sloan's tote is bulging by the door. I open the pantry. Protein bars, flavored water, none of which I bought. The word shared hums in my head like a bad chorus. A laminated HOA notice slips under the door. Parking violation. Noise after hours. I pin it beneath the crab magnet on my fridge. The magnet looks too small to hold anything. Lucas drifts into the kitchen, half apology, half avoidance. He's 43 but still moves like the boy who said he'd fallen after every fight. "We'll keep it down tonight," he murmurs. Sloan's just excited. "Excited isn't a passcode," I answer. He laughs once, then looks past me to the window, to the gray light. I ladle chowder into bowls because that's what I plan to do. The steam clouds my glasses. When it clears. Sloan's filming herself in my window light while Victor redraws boxes on his clipboard. Outside, gulls cry against the wind. Inside, their echoes scrape at the air between us. I taste salt, not from the sea, but from holding my tongue too long. Lucas reaches for his spoon. "It's just for a week," he says. I stir the chowder. Let the silence thicken around us. And think, I've worked 40 years to rest here. I will not be a guest in my own home. By afternoon, the house has new rules that I didn't write. Sloan plants a ring light in my office and declares this corner the studio, sweeping my notebooks into a neat, dismissive stack so her camera can see clean wood. She talks about content flow and engagement. I look at the old loom shuttle on the shelf, the one I kept when I sold the company, and think about the way a warp holds tight so the weft has something to cross. Everything that looks effortless is knotted somewhere you can't see. Victor opens cabinets like he's casing a property for resale. When my favorite ceramic vase tips and splits along an old firing line, he just clicks his tongue. Amazon can replace anything, he says, which is a sentence that would have made me laugh a year ago, before everything I loved became a link. Mabel Jensen knocks around 3, her gray raincoat beaded with water, her hair a tidy helmet against the wind. She lives next door and walks with a cane that has a carved duck's head for a handle. Noise notice, she says, tapping the cane lightly against my threshold, not crossing it until I ask her in. They'll fine you if it keeps up. They'll fine me, I repeat, because the shape of that is important. I pour her tea. She doesn't stay. Mabel never lingers where she isn't needed, but she squeezes my elbow on her way out. A humorless blessing. Don't let them rearrange you, she says, and her cane knocks once against the doormat for emphasis. At dusk, Lucas lights the grill on the leeward side of the deck and asks me if the salmon looks done. I say yes because it is. He uses the spatula like a peace offering. Sloane floats in with her phone at shoulder height, narrating plates and steam and family time, angling herself to catch the string lights I hung my first night here. Victor opens a Pinot and says something about matching taste to the asset, and I nearly ask him what he thinks my taste is. The ceramic shards are still in the trash, and I can't stop thinking about them. I take the bag out to the bin myself, the rain tapping the plastic like impatient fingers. When I come back in, I find my credit card in Sloane's hand, just running to the market. And for a second, the room narrows to a tunnel. Lucas steps between us without meaning to, a reflex, and his chest meets my hands. I feel his heart thud once, hard. I'll pay you back, Sloane says, already walking as if the debt is as theoretical as a draft caption. I let them go. I watch the edge of Sloane's coat vanish around the doorway and feel that small thud again in my own chest. It isn't fear. It's the sound of a line tightening. When the door shuts, the house is suddenly all ocean and refrigerator hum. I rinse the spatula and set it to dry, then open a plain spiral notebook and start to write dates. Night deepens and the rain decides to stay. The porch light throws a cone onto the slick boards, and in it, moths beat themselves senseless against what they think is the moon. I'm filling the dishwasher when the doorbell camera chimes on my phone with a thumbnail of Victor on the step, sheltering his screen under his coat like a conspirator in an old movie. I tap the notification and listen. Mobile notary, he says to the man on the call. Tomorrow, late afternoon, durable power of attorney. She's lucid enough. We just don't want to drag this out. He laughs once, and I hear the scrape of his shoe on the welcome mat I bought at the hardware store in Nehalem, the one that says hello in cheerful block letters. We'll keep it simple. I put the dinner knife down very carefully. The ocean goes on doing what it does, reaching, withdrawing, erasing its footprints before anyone can accuse it of arrogance. I scroll the bank app again. Another pending charge blinks from a home store in Tillamook. Lamps, side tables. The word household has always done a lot of heavy lifting. I call Anita Reyes because I have known for 50 years that you don't wait until tomorrow if tonight will do. She answers on the third ring with the voice of someone who has seen 1,000 versions of the same bad idea. I tell her about the SUVs, the clipboard, the card, the camera. I keep my sentences straight and leave nothing out. Women my age know how quickly the world misunderstands us when we let our voices braid. Don't confront, she says. Not yet. Document. Keep to common areas with any recording. No bedrooms, no bathrooms. Keep your temper and your tea. I'll call you at 10. We'll outline options. The kettle starts to rattle before I realize I've lit the burner. Peppermint? I pour the water and steady the cup with my left hand because my right is shaking. The heat blooms under my fingers and quiets a little of the tremor. I've survived defective dye lots, sudden supplier bankruptcies, payroll weeks where I was the last one paid. A house full of people who think I'm furniture is a different kind of problem. But problems aren't personal. They're puzzles. If you breathe and look at them long enough, they show you a seam. I pull a small nanny cam from the drawer. The one I bought after my neighbor's garden shed was raided last fall. It looks like a cube of licorice. I set it high in the living room where it faces the entry and the kitchen, a space with no expectation of privacy and a view of the stage they've chosen. I test the angle with my phone until the frame holds the door, the island, the table. The camera's red dot steadies into a small, patient eye. When I pass the hallway mirror, I don't look away. I need to see myself, rain-curled hair, jaw set, the quick pulse at my throat. Evelyn, I say softly, to keep my name anchored inside the room. Stay steady. Morning slides in gray and uncommitted. Victor hums in the kitchen while Sloane arranges a flat lay of croissants on my cutting board, angling her phone to catch the light I painted this room for. Lucas carries in a space heater from the garage without being asked. He sets it down, then immediately moves it to a spot Sloane indicates with 2 fingers. We'll need this for the studio, she says. The mic picks up the baseboard heat. I nod as if she has said something sensible, then silence my phone and step onto the porch to call Anita at 10, just as she promised. We go point by point, the camera footage, the charges, the HOA notice, the phrase durable power of attorney which sits in my mouth like a barbed fishbone. We discuss whether the notary can advise. No. Whether POA can be valid under pressure, not if the signer lacks capacity or signs under duress. Whether I want criminal charges, not yet. What do you want, Evelyn? She asks, and I love her for asking it as if my wants matter more than my fears. I want them out, I say, and I want my son to see what he's standing in. Then we plan a dinner, Anita says, a graceful one. You will be the most gracious woman on the Oregon coast. We'll invite them to your table. We'll show them what hospitality means and what it absolutely does not mean. I'll bring a simple packet. Waiver, agreement to vacate within 24 hours, non-disparagement, no contact. Consideration will be that we do not file a complaint today. If they refuse, we escalate. The word escalate feels like a match struck in a dry drawer. All right, I say. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, she says. I'll bring the pies. You order the rest and forward me the email. I hang up and breathe in the cold. When I step back inside, Victor is passing my credit card to Sloane again as if it were a salt shaker. Lucas moves to intercept and then doesn't. He rubs his neck and gives me a look that asks for forgiveness he hasn't earned. You won't need that, I say, taking the card. Dinner's catered, my treat. Sloane's smile tightens, then holds. Oh, that's sweet, she says, sweet enough to stick. We'll make it a big one, for the whole for the people who live here, I say, and the sentence lands between us with such a quiet weight that even the space heater seems to listen. She blinks and retreats to her light. When the email confirmation from the Pelican lands, chowder, salmon, salad, blueberry pie at 6:15, I forward it to Anita and copy Lucas. Then I cancel my secondary card and request new numbers. The bank chat bubble asks if there's fraud. Unauthorized household use, I type. Cardholder requests replacement. I feel a strange, clean relief when the chat agent replies with a brisk, impersonal yes. In the afternoon, I wipe the cedar table and set 6 plates anyway. Hospitality, Anita said. Mine to define. The wind drops at dusk as if it, too, wants to hear. The caterer's van noses up the drive at 6, and a teenager with a nose ring carries in bags that steam in the cool air. Chowder blooms into the kitchen like a memory of every winter I survived in this state. I tip too much because I can. And because the girl says. Nice place. With a reverence that makes me feel like I've done at least one thing right. I tell everyone we're eating at 6:30. Sloane scrolls. Victor pretends not to hear. Lucas hovers in the doorway, then comes to help me set spoons. He picks up the old salt cellar, the one with the thumb dent worn dark, and he pauses with something like grief softening his profile. "You used this when I was a kid," he says. "And you licked your finger and got yelled at," I answer, and he smiles without showing teeth. The smile holds for a breath, then falters. "I don't know how to stop something I should have stopped already," he says. And there is the boy who once hid behind me at the county fair because the clown looked wrong. "Start here," I say. I don't touch him because he is a man now, and touch can make a man weep where words can keep him standing. At 6:30, I ask for phones away. "House rule," I say, and because I say it before anyone sits, it becomes true. Sloane puts her phone face down with exaggerated care. Victor pockets his. Mabel knocks and steps in at my invitation, leaning her cane against the chair at the end. "Neutral witness," she says lightly, but her gaze is straight and sober. She sniff-smiles at the chowder and murmurs something about her late husband that sounds like a prayer. We bless the food in the way my mother did, without words, just a beat of silence while the steam curls and vanishes. Then Anita arrives. Light coat, neat file folder, a pie box balanced on her palm. I see Sloane's eyes cut to the folder. She must know a file when she sees one. Anita shakes hands with everyone and sits to my left. Her presence changes the room the way a level placed on a shelf changes your understanding of straight. We eat. We praise the salmon because it deserves it. We pass salad and talk about the wind. The room warms by small degrees. A person could mistake it for safety. When the plates are cleared and the blueberry pie waits like a second moon, Anita reaches for the remote and taps the TV awake. "We'll watch something real quick," Sloane says, half rising, and Anita's smile is almost kind. "We already are," she says. The video is crisp. Victor on my porch under the cone of light, voice low, using the word lucid as if it guarantees goodness. Then the audio clip I recorded in the living room this afternoon, in the common space where everyone agreed to be. Sloane's voice about signing over, about efficiency. Victor's about today versus next month, about keeping it simple. My bank screenshots follow, charges labeled household mushrooming like mold. Sloane's mouth opens, then closes. Victor's hands flatten on the table and stay there as if holding it down. Lucas makes no sound at all, but his chair scrapes the floor an inch, as if something in him has shifted and needs a new angle. Anita slides the folder across the cedar. "These are agreements," she says. "Waiver and release of any claim on Miss Shore's property. Agreement to vacate within 24 hours. Non-disparagement. No contact. Consideration is that Ms. Shore will not, today, file a complaint with the district attorney regarding elder financial exploitation and attempted fraud. We can talk about tomorrow when tomorrow comes." The house holds its breath. Outside, the ocean resumes its endless work. Inside, so do I. For a long beat, no one moves. Then Sloane laughs, a small brittle sound. She says the clips are out of context, that families talk about paperwork all the time, that I'm being dramatic. Victor goes lawyer flat, asking Anita what statute she thinks applies, as if saying statute can slam a door. I slide the folder closer, not to them, but to myself, and I speak so the house can hear me. I tell them the camera is in a common area, that the doorbell records, that the bank agreed to reissue my cards. I tell them I do not want a fight in my house, only a boundary. "Lucas," I say, because I have to, because he is the point of all of this. Is this your plan too? He looks at me, and I see the child and the man sharing the same face. His throat works. "No," he says, and the word lands like a nail that finds wood. I didn't stop it. That's on me. But it isn't my plan. Sloan says his name like a warning. He doesn't look at her. He reaches for the pen and places it squarely on the top page of the packet. A simple choreography that means we are choosing paper over chaos. Victor tries to stand the table up with his palms. Anita doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't have to. She points once at the consideration clause, then at the clock over my stove. "Tonight is the difference between a lesson and a case," she says. "Choose." Sloan signs first, her hand quick. A signature that looks like someone running downhill. Victor signs with a shake he would call anger, though I suspect it is fear. Anita and Mabel witness. I initial where I'm told. Lucas's breath goes ragged and then evens out. I set my house key on the cedar for a moment and pick it up again, letting the ring kiss my palm. I worked for this key. I am keeping it. When the pie is finally cut, no one eats it. The ocean keeps breathing. The heater clicks. We sit with paperwork between us, cooling like a plate we've decided not to share. They leave at 9, not because they want to, but because the agreements say they will. Victor books a U-Haul on his phone in my entryway, jaw knotted so tight it warps his words. Sloan packs upstairs with a speed that makes drawers sound like slammed arguments. Lucas folds the ring light and unplugs the space heater and carries them to the door without being asked. He doesn't meet my eyes. He doesn't avoid them either. Morning brings a sky rinsed clean. The U-Haul noses back down my drive and HOA's white SUV idles at the curb. Mabel stands on her porch with a mug. Small as punctuation, decisive as a period. Victor signs the HOA notice without reading it. Sloan passes me on the steps with a box labeled studio. She says nothing. I step aside because I can and because I want a clear path for anything that is leaving. Inside, the house is mess and echo. I wipe counters, coil cords, set my notebooks back where the camera saw them last. I cancel the secondary card and the bank agent thanks me for my vigilance. At the station, I file an incident report and attach PDFs Anita emails from her office before lunch. The clerk stamps the page and says, "Have a good day." And for once, it doesn't sound like a joke. 3 months later, spring loosens the cold from the coast. The house smells of lemon oil and open windows again. Lucas visits on Saturdays with takeout coffee, careful to ask before fixing things. He's living in a small apartment in Hillsborough, working longer hours, learning to cook. Sometimes he tells me about a group he joined, Boundaries for Adult Children, and laughs at how hard it is to say no out loud. Sloan filed for divorce in May. I didn't celebrate. Endings don't always need applause. I signed the last page of my own paperwork that week, papers for a donor-advised fund I called Shorelight, dedicated to helping seniors spot financial grooming before it starts. Anita helped me file it, then stayed for dinner. We ate blueberry pie from the same bakery, the same recipe that marked both the battle and the peace. At night, I leave the porch door open and listen. The sea breathes like something forgiven, steady and endless. I whisper my name once, just to hear it echo back, still mine. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.